If I told you to study, the ultimate playbook for crisis management, legal maneuvering, and global startup expansion, you'd probably look at a modern Fortune 500 CEO.
Right, or maybe like a Silicon Valley tech founder.
Exactly. You definitely wouldn't immediately look at a 19th century Italian priest operating out of a boys' youth center in Turin.
No, you really wouldn't. It seems completely counterintuitive.
But today, we are looking at a stack of daily journal entries that completely flips that assumption on its head. Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we have a really fascinating slice of history for you.
We do, and the way these sources are structured is incredible.
Yeah, we are looking at a chronological record of events, almost like a historical core sample. Every single event occurred on the exact same date, August 18th, but across various years in the life of Don Bosco.
It really is a brilliant way to analyze a historical figure. When you take a vertical slice of a single day across several decades, you eliminate the polished, overarching narrative of a biography.
Right, you get past the PR.
Exactly. You instead see the raw daily mechanics of leadership. What these August 18th snapshots reveal is a leader operating on incredibly complex levels simultaneously.
It's like all at the same time.
Yes. We were seeing a man juggling grassroots community building, aggressive global expansion, and highly sensitive papal diplomacy, often in the exact same week.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we aren't just looking at religious history today for the sake of it, right?
Absolutely not.
We are analyzing a masterclass in strategic leadership and bold resourcefulness. When you look at the logistics of what this man was pulling off under extreme pressure, it is staggering.
It really is.
I want to jump straight into the deep end here. We have an August 18th entry from 1871. Don Bosco is writing a letter to a Countess Gabriella Corsi. And reading through the source material, he is basically setting up what sounds exactly like a covert intelligence safe house.
That is functionally what it was.
Yeah.
He was organizing a highly classified meeting at her private villa near Nizza Monferrato.
Which is pretty remote, right?
Yeah, and he specifically chose that secluded, secular location to completely avoid public suspicion.
Because he explicitly tells her he's arriving on August 21st to hold discreet conferences with various priests. And the source notes state his actual task was a grave and secret task entrusted to him directly by Pope Pius IX. He was supposed to select candidates for vacant Italian dioceses.
Basically, he is headhunting bishops in secret.
But I have to ask the obvious question here. Why would a prominent religious leader need to operate in such absolute cloak and dagger secrecy just to appoint bishops? Isn't appointing bishops literally the Vatican's everyday job?
What's fascinating here is the geopolitical reality of Italy in 1871.
Yeah.
That climate completely dictates this secrecy. You have to put yourself in that specific moment in time.
Okay, set the scene for us.
This is immediately following the unification of Italy. The Risorgimento, the newly formed Italian secular state, had just absorbed the papal states.
So the Pope lost his territory.
Exactly. Pope Pius IX actually considered himself a prisoner in the Vatican. The political climate wasn't just volatile, it was, the relationship between the Italian government and the Catholic Church was outright hostile.
So the state and the church are actively at war, at least politically speaking.
Precisely. If the Vatican were caught openly interviewing candidates for powerful regional positions like bishops, the secular government would have been deeply suspicious.
They'd see it as a threat.
Oh, absolutely. They could have easily interfered, blocked the appointments, or even arrested the candidates under the guise of political subversion.
Wow.
So the Vatican needed a middleman, and Don Bosco was perfect for this because he had built a public reputation that seemingly transcended typical church politics.
Right, because he was seen by many as just, a social worker helping street kids.
Exactly. He used that unassuming public persona as cover to move quietly. He had the absolute trust of the Pope, and crucially, he had the high society social network.
Like Countess Corsi.
Yes, like the Countess, to provide secure, off-the-books locations.
That is wild. He is leveraging his network of wealthy patrons not just for funding, but for literal operational security.
Yeah, he was incredibly strategic about who he involved and when.
And you see that same level of absolute discretion in another August 18th entry. This one is from 9 years earlier, in 1862. He is writing to the cardinal vicar in Rome on behalf of a Father Onorio Taramelli.
Ah, the case of the recanted priest. This is an absolute masterclass in human resources and crisis management.
The entry notes that Father Taramelli was a Catholic priest who had publicly left the church, fallen into Protestantism, but then recanted and desperately wanted to return to active priestly life.
Right.
Don Bosco is the one seeking a private audience to arrange his return. But reading between the lines, this feels like an incredibly radioactive personnel issue.
To understand why it was so radioactive, you have to look at the mechanics of excommunication and public scandal in 19th century Italy. Leaving the priesthood for a Protestant denomination wasn't just like a career change.
What was it then?
It was social and institutional suicide. For the church to take someone back after a public defection like that creates a massive bureaucratic and public relations nightmare.
Because they look compromised.
Right. How do you reintegrate someone without seeming weak while still maintaining the theological mandate of forgiveness?
It's a tightrope walk.
Exactly. Don Bosco, handling this mediation, shows his superiors recognized a unique skill in him. He could manage the explosive human element of a crisis with total discretion.
So he kept it quiet?
He kept the scandal completely out of the public eye and navigated the rigid Vatican bureaucracy to find a pastoral solution.
But operating as a shadow diplomat for the Pope or mediating high-stakes personnel crises is incredibly high risk. I mean, you can't effectively manage international Vatican crises if you don't even have control over your own local headquarters.
That is a crucial point. You need absolute operational autonomy first.
Right. Which brings us to the inevitable friction every expanding organization faces.
The local middle management trying to maintain control over a rapidly scaling subsidiary.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the local middle management in this specific scenario was the Archbishop of Turin. We have a document from August 18th, 1873. It's a rescript from Cardinal Bizzarri responding directly to queries from the Archbishop about the legal status of Don Bosco's organization, the Salesian Society.
For you listening, a rescript is essentially a formal written reply from a high-ranking Vatican official that acts as binding law.
So it's not a suggestion?
No, it's a legal ruling. The Archbishop of Turin was basically appealing to corporate headquarters, asking, how much control do I legally have over Don Bosco and his people?
And the rescript lays it out, but it's filled with institutional jargon. It clarifies that the Salesian Society is an institute with simple vows, meaning they remain under the local ordinary's jurisdiction, which is the Archbishop.
Right.
Except where specified by their approved constitutions or unique papal privileges.
Let's break down that mechanism because it is brilliant legal maneuver.
Oh, please do.
So, simple vows meant Don Bosco's group hadn't yet achieved the top-tier status of a fully exempt religious order. Technically, on paper, they were still under the Archbishop's thumb.
Okay, so the Archbishop could interfere.
The Archbishop could theoretically dictate their movements, block their projects, or throttle their growth. But that rescript contained a massive, deliberate loophole.
The exception for unique papal privileges.
Exactly.
And the entry notes that right before the showdown, Don Bosco had quietly obtained a canonical privilege directly from the Pope. It was to issue what they call demissorial letters for 6 additional pupils.
Yes.
I had to look this up. A demissorial letter is essentially a golden ticket. It's official permission allowing Don Bosco to send his candidates to be ordained by any bishop he chooses, completely bypassing the Archbishop of Turin.
He fundamentally neutered the Archbishop's leverage.
It's just so sneaky, but in a totally legal way.
Think about a time your middle manager tried to micromanage a project you were doing for the CEO. Instead of fighting that manager in the hallway, you go directly to the CEO of the global conglomerate, get a permanent binding exemption carved into your contract, and politely hand that document to your supervisor.
Checkmate.
Exactly. By securing those demissorial letters, Don Bosco built an airtight legal moat around his organization. If the local authorities ever tried to squeeze his operations by refusing to ordain his men, he had an overriding mandate from the Pope.
It perfectly illustrates that having a grand vision and raw charisma simply isn't enough. You need the institutional leverage to legally protect your work.
And once he secured that protective moat, he didn't just sit comfortably inside his fortress in Turin.
No, he did not.
He used that legal economy as a launching pad for incredibly aggressive, high-risk global expansions.
Which brings us to the resourcefulness required to actually fund those expansions. The stress of this next entry is just palpable. It is August 18th, 1876. Don Bosco is preparing for the second South American expedition.
All right, they were heading to Argentina.
He is writing to Father John Cagliero, who is already boots on the ground in Argentina, giving him a status update.
Sending a transatlantic expedition in 1876 was an astronomical financial undertaking. You are dealing with oceanic steamship fares, outfitting dozens of men with supplies for a completely different climate, and establishing infrastructure on another continent.
Exactly, and his status update to Caballero is basically, I am prepping 20 new missionaries to send across the Atlantic.
20 men. That's a huge group.
20 men. But he casually drops the detail that the congregation is currently in severe financial difficulty. They just had these massive, unforeseen, substantial outlays for a house in Nice, France.
So they're effectively broke.
The Home Office is bleeding cash.
Yeah.
But Don Bosco tells Caballero that he is determined to secure the transportation funds for these 20 guys, quote, by hook or by crook.
That specific phrase, by hook or by crook, is such a striking departure from the pious language you'd expect from a 19th century saint.
That sounds kind of ruthless.
It reveals the sheer gritty determination of a founder who refuses to let financial reality dictate his operational timeline.
It sounds identical to a modern startup CEO who just blew all their venture capital on a massive new headquarters. They can barely make payroll, but they're still stubbornly pushing forward with an international product launch.
That's a great comparison.
But it begs the question, right? How do you actually execute? By hook or by crook? How do you conjure oceanic travel funds when the coffers are entirely empty?
You do it through unparalleled relationship management and relational capital, which connects directly to another August 18th letter, this one from 9 years later in 1885.
Okay.
This is where we see the actual mechanics of his fundraising strategy.
This is the cholera outbreak entry. Don Bosco is writing from a place called the Matthey Paper Mill.
Right. And to understand the stakes of this letter, you really have to understand what a cholera epidemic meant in 19th century France.
It wasn't just a bad flu season.
No, cholera wasn't just a bad flu. It was a terrifying, highly contagious, waterborne disease tearing through densely packed, unsanitary cities. People were dying violently and rapidly.
So panic is everywhere.
Total panic. The immediate instinct for anyone with means was to flee the urban centers for the countryside.
And Don Bosco is writing to his primary financial benefactors, Count and Countess Call. But he isn't writing to ask them for emergency funds.
Which is what you might assume a cash-strapped founder would do in a crisis.
Right. He is writing to offer them a cottage in Lanzo, up in the hills, as a safe refuge from the epidemic. He promises them a, quote, rousing welcome if they come. He is literally offering his wealthy donors a safe house from a deadly plague.
That is the secret to his creative fundraising. He didn't treat his benefactors like transactional ATMs.
He genuinely cared about them.
He cultivated deep, fiercely loyal networks. He treated the people who funded his South American ambitions like family. When you actively intervene to save someone's life during a public health crisis, you aren't just building a donor base.
You are building lifelong structural loyalty.
Exactly. When the time comes that you need to fund 20 missionaries, by hook or by crook, that relational capital is what you draw on. The Coley family funded massive portions of the Salesian enterprise because Don Bosco was deeply invested in their personal survival.
That reframes networking entirely. It's not about asking for favors, it's about becoming indispensable to the people around you.
It's mutual investment. So
we've seen the covert diplomacy for the Pope, we've seen the brilliant legal maneuvering to bypass the local archbishop, and we've analyzed this high-wire global fundraising strategy fueled by deep relational capital.
Right.
So what does this all mean when you step back and look at the entire board? What was all this stress, secrecy, and maneuvering actually designed to achieve?
Everything we just discussed was the invisible infrastructure required for massive on-the-ground growth. It was all in service of scaling the vision.
I want to track that scaling through our August 18th timeline, because when you lay the dates out chronologically, the trajectory is staggering. Let's go all the way back to the earliest entry in our stack, which is August 18th, 1855. This is 30 years before the cholera letter.
The very nascent stages of his operation.
In 1855, the August 18th entry is incredibly localized. It details a father and son, both Calvinists, who formally returned to the Roman Catholic faith at the Church of the Oratory of St. Francis de Sales.
Just a small local event?
Yeah, the Marquis Dominic Fossati and his wife Mary served as the godparents. It is a beautiful, intimate community event. 2 conversions, facilitated in person by Don Bosco, right there in Turin.
A micro-level, highly manual success. As a founder, he is deeply involved in the day-to-day, individual execution of his mission.
Now fast forward 17 years to August 18th, 1872. Father John Cagliaro, who is the same man who would later lead the South American expeditions, returns to Turin from a town called Mornese.
Okay, what was he doing there?
He had just attended the historic first clothing and religious profession of the Daughters of Mary, Help of Christians.
Notice a structural shift here. We aren't just looking at local boys in a single youth center anymore. By 1872, the organization has scaled demographically to include an entirely new, massive women's branch.
They're expanding the operational footprint.
And diversifying their impact.
And then jump forward another 9 years to August 18th, 1881. Don Bosco arrives at a place called San Benigno Canaves at noon to preside over a spiritual retreat.
And how big is this retreat?
Well, this isn't a small gathering of local kids. This retreat is for 163 young men actively aspiring to join the Salesian Society.
Wow.
163 new candidates at a single intake event. But here is the most crucial detail of that entry. Don Bosco isn't the one doing the actual preaching for the retreat. The heavy lifting is being handled by Father Michael Rua and Father Joseph Lazaro.
That single detail is the ultimate hallmark of a founder who has successfully mastered scaling.
Because he delegated.
He delegates. In 1855, he was personally managing every single detail of those 2 local Calvinist conversions. By 1881, dealing with an influx of 163 aspirants, he has empowered his trusted lieutenants, Rua and Lazaro, to execute the actual training and ideological onboarding.
He arrives to preside, not to micromanage. He maintains a highly visible presence as the ultimate visionary, almost like a CEO arriving at the global corporate retreat to cast the vision for the next decade.
Exactly. But he relies entirely on the institutional infrastructure he has built to actually run the event.
It's brilliant.
He transitioned from an artisan painstakingly crafting a single watch to the chief architect of a global factory producing thousands of them. And he managed that massive operational shift while simultaneously navigating international Vatican politics and constant existential financial peril.
It completely shatters the dusty, stained glass window version of 19th century religious figures.
It really does.
For you listening, it's so easy to look back at this era and just see archaic traditions and dry dates. But this stack of August 18th notes paints a portrait of a shockingly modern, highly strategic leader. We are looking at a man who was equal parts covert diplomat for a politically embattled pope, a razor-sharp legal tactician who outmaneuvered his own local bureaucracy, a fiercely loyal networker who offered his donors refuge from a deadly plague, and a determined founder pushing international expansion even when the bank accounts were empty.
It is a phenomenal leadership curriculum hidden inside a daily calendar. But analyzing a figure this central to an organization's success raises an important question, one that every single modern company or global institution eventually has to face.
When the founder is this dominant.
Exactly. When a global organization is built so heavily on the sheer willpower, the highly guarded secret diplomatic ties, and the by hook or by crook relational capital of one central, deeply charismatic figure, what happens to the structural integrity of that organization the day that leader is no longer there to pull the strings?
That is the ultimate test of any empire. Because as we saw today, Don Bosco wasn't just sitting in a boardroom delegating tasks, he was the grandmaster playing multiple chessboards blindfolded, balancing the Pope, the hostile Italian state, the local archbishop, the wealthy benefactors, and the missionaries in South America. You take the master away from the board, and you just have to wonder if the pieces he set in motion can keep moving themselves. It is fascinating stuff to think about, especially if you're building something yourself. Thank you for joining us as we unpack this incredible slice of history. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.